Dear students, and I myself Prem Kumar, E for you NEET Biology faculty. Now I am going to discuss a complete strategy of class 11 portion in case of NEET exam aspects, how to complete in a strategical way. So, class 11 NEET portion strategy. So, let us just have a very elaborate look on those which chapters has to be concentrated and which areas includes the most MCQ credibility. When we take a whole class 11 textbook, it starts from the chapter Living World, and living world, when you come to the context of living world, it does not contain more number of MCQs in competitive examination. So that very important thing is that here you can majorly focus on a concept, key concept in living world. The living world, you can focus it on key concepts. Key is nothing but a taxonomical aid. Taxonomical aid, that concept if you focus it, that is better. And hierarchy of classification, actually hierarchical classification that includes species, kingdom, phylum, class, division, that will come. That area if you concentrate, that will be better. And living world consciousness concept, this concept if you focus it more, that adds credibility in the context of MCQs. So this is the context in the case of living world. This concept has to be emphasized a lot, but still living world does not contain more number of MCQs. So it will not play a very huge role in your preparation, but still you should have a hold on this topic. When it comes to the context of biological classification, how these concepts is going to play a role in case of NEET. Very particularly here you need to concentrate on Monera. Monera comprises the more number of questions, more number of MCQs that will comes under the Monera, especially the area of Archaebacteria. Archaebacteria is the area where it comprises more number of MCQs in Monera than Eubacteria also. So you need to concentrate more on this area, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria in the context of Monera. After this Monera, you need to concentrate on the topic Protista. Protista, the area where more questions will come from the area diatoms. As you might have crossed this term, diatoms are the chief producers in ocean. Protista includes diatoms. This diatoms comes under chrysophytes basically. You might have very well known with the chrysophytes. Chrysophytes includes the diatoms. So Protista, which area emphasizes more in case of Protista means diatoms. In case of Monera, you need to concentrate more on Archaebacteria and Eubacterian aspects in the case of Monera, and in case of Protista, you need to concentrate more on the diatoms area. Then after this dinoflagellates, red dinoflagellates, it has the example. In case of dinoflagellates, goniolox example. That goniolox also secrete a toxin called as saxitoxin. So this will be the repeated MCQs in case of multiple competitive examinations like a NEET, AIMS and JIPMA. After this Protista content, you need to focus more on euglenoids and its pigments present. So that area, and protozoan. In case of protozoan, you need to have a more look on ciliated protozoan and sporozoans. These areas got repeated MCQs in multiple competitive examinations in NEET, AIMS, JIPMA and now NTA NEET. In that also these areas has to be focused a lot in case of protozoans. After that, when it comes to the context of kingdom fungi, see this area, fungi is the area you need to focus more on. Suggest very particularly here ascomycetes, basidiomycetes, then deuteromycetes. These three divisions under the fungi has to be concentrated more, especially ascomycetes, that includes the aspergillus. Aspergillus is popularly known as a laboratory weed. This is also a repeated MCQs asked in various competitive. And basidiomycetes area examples and deuteromycetes area. So basically this biological classification comprises 3 to 4 MCQs, means especially that question is more expected, anticipated areas is Monera, Protista, and in fungi ascomycetes, basidiomycetes and deuteromycetes. Especially in case of Monera bacteria, more focus has to be given on archaebacteria area that plays a very major role in preparation. So Ascomyces, Basidiomyces, Deuteromyces comes under the kingdom fungi. This is about the kingdom fungi. This area you have to be focused a lot. And apart from this, you need to focus more on the areas on virus, viroids and lichens. When you talk about the virus and its importance has to be studied a lot. In case of virus, tobacco mosaic virus is there and bacteriophage is there. And apart from this, very particularly here, viroids also plays a very major role. It causes potato spindle tuber disease. This diseases and all comes under the viroids. That plays a very major role in case of biological classification. So has to be concentrated the areas viroids and lichens. These areas you need to concentrate a lot. Lichens, that plays a very major role. It acts as a pollution indicator also. This lichens area has to be concentrated, then viroids. So in biological classification, a very notable area is Monera, Protista and kingdom fungi, Ascomyces, Basidiomyces, Deuteromyces, viroids and lichens. So apart from this, prions example also, if you concentrate, the questions got repeated in this area. Prions example, bovine spongiform encephalopathy, Creutzfeldt, Jacob syndrome, this area. And this is about the biological classification. When it comes to the context of next area is very particularly you need to concentrate and focus more on the plant kingdom aspect. When it comes to the plant kingdom aspect, you need to focus more on the area where MCQ comprises a lot is algae and its types. Algae and its types must be very thorough, especially on the area red algae. Red algae, that includes a more number of MCQs. Be cautious when you are studying a red algae. You need to study about the pigments and when it present in the depth of the ocean, how the little light penetrates and red algae example. So be confined to the algae and its types a lot. Because the more MCQs in that area, algae, especially on the red algae aspects, it plays a very major role. Red algae aspects and brown algae aspects, and very particularly after this algae and its types, you should have a more focus on the area bryophytes and its life cycle. Then you need to have more look on pteridophytes, and last thing is that angiosperm, more than a gymnosperm, here angiosperm life cycle will be a more effective one in numerous examinations, very particularly in various competitive examinations that was asked as MCQ. Especially this angiosperm life cycle and its mechanism is totally related with the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. What you people are studying in class 12 portion, the second chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, in that area life cycle of angiosperm, all those things got covered. And in case of pteridophytes, examples plays a very major role in the context of MCQs. Example will play a very major role. And in case of bryophytes economic importance, that plays a very huge role in case of paper, because the reason is that repeated MCQs came from this bryophytes and its economic importance. Pteridophytes example, and in case of angiosperm, life cycle plays a very huge role, because the reason is that life cycle is most matching with the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. This is about the plant kingdom concepts. At last, alternation generation, haplontic, diplontic, haplodiplontic life cycle and its examples. That plays a very major role in paper, especially very particularly in plant kingdom last two lines, like ectocarpus example, that comes under the haplontic or diplontic, haplodiplontic, like examples they would have given. That example area, you people please focus on that example area, because that plays a very major role. So this is about the plant kingdom, and this is about the biological classification. And next, when it comes to the context of the animal kingdom, you should have a more hold on all the phylums. Especially question prone areas in phylum is phylum porifera. So that plays a very major role, phylum porifera and its examples. And in case of phylums, better try to avoid skipping the phylums, study all the phylums. And arthropoda, because more questions got repeated from arthropoda, because it has a typical feature like jointed appendages and examples is being given. So this is about arthropoda. And when it comes to the context of mollusca, here also typical many example has been given. Phylum more concentration has to be given on porifera, arthropoda and mollusca, echinodermata. Water-vascular system presence will be the characteristic feature of echinodermata. That will be the typical question asked in many examination, in various PMT examination in echinodermata. After this echinodermata, your focus should be more on ctenophora. Like bioluminescence property will come under that one, that plays a very major role. Ctenophora, that is much needed one. You need to focus more on that area in ctenophora. So ctenophora. So apart from this, you should have a hold more on various classes also, like classes aves, mammalia, and also more focus you try to give on mammalia, because mammalia comprises more MCQs, especially the examples, and aves also. Examples plays a very major role. In case of animal kingdom, since it's a classical zoology, you should not skip all the phylums. Don't try to actually, some students will avoid studying many phylums. But what I suggest strongly, try to be strong in all the phylums, and more strong in the specified phylums like porifera, arthropoda and mollusca, echinodermata and ctenophora very particularly. So this portion you should be very constantly thorough in case of the first unit. This is about the first unit. In case of various competitive examination, this unit plays a very major role. And overall, if you see the weightage, living world 1 MCQ, and biological classification 2 to 3 MCQs, and plant kingdom 3 MCQs, and animal kingdom also 3 MCQs. Like it has a more MCQ weightage, but your concentration should be more on the plant kingdom and animal kingdom aspects. These aspects, these two chapters is a typical chapters where it comprises of more MCQs. And in case of biological classification also, please confine to this area more and try to have a practice. Very particularly apart from this, the area has to cover is Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification. Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification, usually in board perspective that is more important, but in case of NEET MCQ, you need to focus more on Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification in animalia aspects. So this is about the first unit, diversity of living world. The areas you need to focus more in the context of MCQ credibility. So note down these headings. So because this plays a very major role in competitive examinations. Yes, by continuity of the first unit, now we need to discuss about the second unit, that is structural organization in plants and animals. In the context of structural organization in plants and animals, you need to focus more on the area morphology of flowering plants. The topic has to be emphasized in this chapter. This chapter comprises 2 to 3 MCQs based on the prediction from the past 10 years papers. 2 to 3 MCQs. In this chapter, your emphasis will be more on root and its modification, because stilt root, prop root, nematophores, and root has region of root. So these areas, region of root has more number of MCQs. You have the diagram where the maturation, elongation and differentiation areas. That diagram, you try to have a good hold on that diagram, because diagram itself expected as a diagrammatic MCQ in case of roots. After this roots, your focus should be confined to stem and its modification. Especially when you study the stem and its modification, you confine yourself more on examples, because in the context of various competitive exam, that includes ICAR exam also, like NEET, AIMS, JIPMER and various competitive examination, especially more emphasis has to be given on example aspect. Example plays a very major role in case of a stem. And after the stem, aestivation and its types, then placentation. Aestivation and placentation, exclusively from this area, more MCQs is expected, because when it comes to the context of placentation, parietal placentation, basal placentation, axial placentation, example is much needed one. Please try to have a hold on that topic, because that topic was a very repeated MCQs. And try to have a hold on diagram also, because diagram practice will make a huge impact in MCQ credibility. In case of aestivation, be thorough with all the types of the aestivation. Be cautious when you studying aestivation. You should not skip the examples, because examples will make a very major impact in your preparation. Because MCQ credibility you need in morphology of flowering plants, you should have a good hold with these two topics: aestivation and placentation and its types. Aestivation types, placentation types. Apart from this, in semi-technical description, have a hold on floral formula. In floral formula, you have a hold on Fabaceae family and Solanaceae family. These two families, floral formula plays a very major role in case of semi-technical description. Let me tell you first what are all the more focusing areas, like a MCQ hotspot areas: root modification, region of root, stem modification, aestivation, placentation, semi-technical description areas. Apart from this, you should have a good hold on epigynous, hypogynous, perigynous flowers types. The types has a good hold with the MCQs. So epigynous, perigynous, hypogynous flowers and its diagram, that is much needed one. When it comes to the context of fruit, you need to know about the types of fruits. I hope you will not face any problem in case of fruits, because as you are very thorough with the class 12 portion, many people maybe would have crossed parthenocarpic fruits, true fruit, false fruit. So these fruit, false fruit types will play a very major in case of MCQ. So fruit and its types, fruits and its types, that plays a very major role. Apart from this, seed structure will have a good hold with the MCQs. Be thorough with the seed structure. See, when it comes to the seed structure, means in which context I am telling, I am talking in the context of embryo, monocot embryo, dicot embryo. That structure you should have a good hold. This is about the morphology of the flowering plants, and more again emphasizing aestivation, placentation and semi-technical description areas. And you should have a more hold with the roots, region of roots, stem and its modification. This is morphology of flowering plants in second unit, first chapter. When it comes to the context of anatomy of flowering plants, see, in anatomy of flowering plants, this anatomy of flowering plants chapter, it will make a very drastic impact in your preparation, because 4 MCQs weightage chapter. In this, when you make a study on this chapter, your focus should be more on, first let me tell this area, that is secondary growth and its importance. That area, it plays a drastic role, because the reason is that secondary growth in monocot root, dicot root, wood and its type. When it comes to the context of wood and its types, please be thorough with the heartwood, sapwood and autumn wood, spring wood, early wood, late wood. These wood types you should have, because when I make a tick mark like this impacts where the more MCQ lies. So when we talk about the anatomy, wood and its types will plays a very basic, very major role actually, because once you start studying that, better focus more on this area. I know that you need to start the chapter first with the primary meristem, secondary meristem, these areas, but when it comes to the context of the MCQ credibility, secondary growth, wood and its types will plays a very major role. And this is the first core concept area you need to be focused a lot. Then simple tissues, complex tissues, and in case of simple tissue, parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, that areas, and complex tissues, xylem and phloem. Especially under the complex tissues, more emphasis should be given on phloem, sieve tubes, companion cells. These areas has to be focused a lot. In case of anatomy of dicots and monocots, what it depicts means dicots and monocots. Anatomy of dicot root, dicot stem, anatomy of dicot leaf, monocot leaf, anatomy of dicot. Very particularly in case of anatomy of dicots, you focus more leaf, stem, root. In dicot aspects you have a more hold. See, in case of dicot root, Casparian strips plays a very major role. In case of dicot stem, starch sheath will plays a very major role in case of MCQs. In case of dicot leaf, you have a reticulate venation, repeated MCQs. Comparatively with a monocot, dicot will have a more impact on paper. Anatomy of dicot. So have a good hold on dicot and its diagram also, because nowadays they are asking more diagrammatic MCQ in case of anatomy of dicots also. So in the context of anatomy of flowering plants, let me tell you again: secondary growth, wood, simple tissue, complex tissue, anatomy of dicots and monocots, especially on dicots. Have a good hold on this topic, because this is going to play a very major role in your preparation. This has the MCQ weightage, as I said, 4 MCQs. In case of morphology, you have a good hold with the MCQs, like 3 MCQs, but still these topics has to be emphasized a lot. This is about the morphology and anatomy of flowering plants. When it comes to the context of next topic is that here, structural organization in animal tissue. In case of animal tissues aspect, have a hold with all the types of tissues, all the different types of tissues, simple tissues, cuboidal tissues, all the types. Cockroach, just have a hold with cockroach reproduction part and morphology aspect. Cockroach morphology and reproduction. Cockroach plays a more role, especially reproduction and morphology aspects. All tissue types, what is present over there: simple, cuboidal, connective tissue, loose connective, and dense regular, dense irregular, all the tissues you should have the hold. This will play a role in case of 2 to 3 MCQs, especially 2 MCQs, and MCQ most expected from cockroach, because repeated MCQs came from cockroach only. Cockroach, especially morphology and reproduction aspects. So good, have a good hold on that topic. This is about the second unit, morphology of flowering plants, anatomy of flowering plants, and animal tissues. Have a note on these topics.